What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're gonna battle it out for ultimate victory. And or just talk about two notebooks. So, oh boy, this is a video I've been wanting to make for quite some time because since I got into the fountain pen hobby, I want to say like 7-ish years ago, I have been using the Rhodia dot pad for everything. But I recently, and by recently I mean like 6 months ago, picked up Galen Leather products, and this is their everyday pad. So this is sort of like their thing of this for Galen Leather. They're both the same size, and I thought, you know what? Let's go head to head, because this is probably like an industry standard for most people. And I thought it was really interesting to compare the two because, well, I just wanted to. So I have some notes down below. So if I look down occasionally, it's because I'm looking at my notes. So I apologize for that. Let's start with the Rhodia. And in a moment, we'll get up close and personal with the actual papers where I've done some torture tests on the paper itself. So for Rhodia, you can choose between dot or lines. There's no graph option as far as I'm aware in this format. There are graph options in other formats, but I'm just talking about this one. This is the number 16 dot pad A5 size. But you can get multiple sizes. This is just the A5. It's 80 GSM for 80 sheets. Little to no show through or bleed through. It's about $5.75 USD, which works out to about $5.50 in Canada. Why is it cheaper in Canada? Who knows? But my local pen shop has it cheaper. So woohoo, for the first time ever. And you can buy it pretty much anywhere. This is basically available anywhere. And I think that's why it probably is such an industry standard, because you can buy it anywhere. And this, you just kind of like, as you can see here, rip off sheets as need be. The Galen Leather Everyday Pad is a little bit different. It is thicker, but it's blank only. You cannot get dot, grid, lined, or anything like that, but it does come with the line guides that you can put under the sheet and effectively make it anything that you want, because it is thinner paper. So instead of the Rhodia paper, this is Tomoe River, which in the fountain pen world is like, oh, it's coveted because it's amazing. So you get the line guides, blank only one size. So this only comes in A5 size. So you are limited that way. It's 150 sheets versus 80 sheets. 52 GSM Tomoe River. No bleed through. You do get some show through. But in this kind of a format, the whole point is that you're ripping off pages. You're not necessarily using both sides. And by comparison to Rhodia, you get better shading, better sheening than you do on Rhodia. And it's also smoother than Rhodia. You kind of like, you feel a little bit of a drag from your nib versus this guy here. But this, in my opinion, is superior than this in every way except for two factors. One, this is not as widely available. So when I wrote these notes many months ago, it was actually only available at Galen Leather's website. Since it has changed, so now you can get it at more retailers. Like Goulet Pens has it. I think Pen Chalet has it. No places in Canada, I think, carry it. At least the last I checked. I could be wrong. I can't check everywhere. But it is a little bit harder to get your hands on it, and it is more expensive. So keep in mind that you can get this for $5.50 Canadian, $5.75 US dollars. This is $27 Canadian, $21 US. So it's more. Now you also get more for it, but it is much more expensive. And that's because Tomoe River is expensive. It is thicker, so you get more sheets. A lot of things factor into that. But sometimes paying more money, you get a better experience. So is it worth it? Well, that's ultimately up to you. But let's take a close-up look here of the two papers. I have a few more thoughts, and then, I mean, ultimately, you'll have to decide for yourself. But I certainly have an opinion on which one I think wins, and we'll get to that next. Okay, so as you can tell, they are definitely much larger. I mean, obviously, I've used about half of this pad now. I've used less of this one, but the paper that's in the everyday pad is basically the same paper that they use everywhere. So it's what they use in their everyday book, which clearly I have used a lot. It's what they use in their notebooks here. You know, I'm almost all the way through one of these. So I'm very, very familiar with this paper. Plus, like I said, it is Tomoe River. So pretty knowledgeable that way as far as it goes. So both of them have the same perforations so that you can, oh, I don't want to show you that first page. I forgot I had actually used this for other things. So that you can essentially flip everything over nice and easy. You know, line guides, I'll move that for now. Okay, so that you can go phew, 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 sound effects and all. So I did basically the same things on both. Same pen, same ink, same everything. As I briefly mentioned before, you feel more drag on the paper for Rhodia than you do on Tomoe River. This makes your nib feel much smoother, especially when you have fine or extra fine nibs. They feel much, much better on Tomoe River than they do on Rhodia. You do feel that drag, which some people actually like. And I personally don't anymore. I'm quite spoiled and prefer the Tomoe River, but some people like that resistance feeling. They don't want to, you know, they feel that it gives them a little bit more control. So if you are like that, then you, I think, would prefer the Tomoe or Rhodia dot pad. For the dot pad here, it holds up very nicely. I mean, it's a staple for a reason, in the sense that really nothing bleeds through. The only thing that did is Sharpie, and to be honest, I've yet to find anything that has been able to hold back the killer Sharpie. I'm gonna move my light here so that you can try and see. It's a little hard. Essentially, it's able to capture the shimmer very well, which is nice. You do get some decent shading and sheening. It's very difficult to show you on camera here, so I do apologize, but you do get some. You can see the red outline from this glass dipped pen. You can get a little bit from the Kaweco Sport Diamond Happy Holidays, which has sheen and shimmer, but it is a little bit more muted on this paper. But it holds up like a champ. There's no bleed through, like I said, with the exception of Sharpie, but I don't know why, to be honest, I always use Sharpie. And there's very little show through, which a lot of people, I think, like. In contrast to the Tomoe River paper, you get significantly more shading and sheening. The shimmer, as far as the like J.Herbin Stormy Gray, is pretty equal to both. I would say it's a tie there. That shows through the exact same. The only difference is that it's slightly crisper around the edges on Tomoe River than it is on Rhodia. By no means am I saying that this feathers, because it doesn't. It just seems to stay ever so slightly crisper on the Tomoe River paper. You get a lot more of the sheen than you do on the Rhodia. Like I said, it feels like just liquid while you're writing on it. You get a lot more of that sheening and shimmering. here. All of these inks in the middle are very basic, so they performed pretty much identical on both. But the only thing is that you get a lot of show through with this because it's 52 GSM. It's very, very thin. So you do get more show through. And obviously I'm holding this up to the light, so you know, if I put it down, but you can see it. Absolutely no bleed, even with Sharpie. It was close, but it made it. It held on. It did its duty. But you do get show through. It doesn't bother me in the journals that I use. I'm able to write on both sides, no problem. Like I said, with this kind of a thing, I don't know if you would use both sides anyways, so it's not as much of a problem. But you are able to see through it. This happens to be the dot pad. Like I said, with this one, you can get all of the inserts, so you can make it your own. You're able to see very clearly the line rulings. So you get a 10 millimeter, a 7 millimeter, and then you get a 5 millimeter graph and a 10 millimeter graph. So sort of a choose your own adventure type thing. And both on Rhodia and Galen Leather are perforated edges. I will say I've had some trouble with, I can't show you that. I've had some trouble with the Rhodia. When it gets farther in here, it doesn't tear as nicely as this does, but this is also so much thinner that there's less resistance to tearing. So ultimately, there's definitely pros and cons to both. If you like a more controlled, and I say that, you know, here because some people don't find it that way. If you like, you know, a bit of resistance to your writing, with a more like of a coating on top. Both of these, by the way, have very similar dry times. They both take a good, decent amount of time to dry. Tomoe River may be slightly longer to dry than Rhodia, but pretty darn close. This has more resistance. This does not. You have slightly less shading and sheening. Granted, you're going to get decent shading and sheening on Rhodia versus any other like paper, like especially if you're using like copy paper or any absorbency, because there is a coating on this paper. But Tomoe River does win on that front. This is slightly cream colored, whereas this is stark white. So that is a factor as well. But to be honest, with the actual colors, it doesn't seem to make that much of a difference. You do not get any show through on the other side, with the exception of, you know, Sharpies. But you do on Tomoe River. So if that's something that really bothers you, then definitely stay away from this. But to me, I think this wins hands down. There are definitely some cons to this for sure. I mean, like I said, that show through, some people hate it. And it is more expensive. But for me, the experience that I have with this, the way that my nib just glides across the page is wonderful. I love what it does to the actual ink. I think that it outperforms this paper here. And because I hadn't used Rhodia in so long and was just using Tomoe River paper, when I went back to write on this, I did not like actually the feeling at all. There's so much drag that you feel as your nib, you know, goes across the paper. So that was actually surprising to me, to be honest, because I mean, I've gone through like probably 10 of these and I have a lot more, because I stocked up on it. But, you know, so ultimately it's up to you, like, you know, choose your own adventure here. But between the two, I think Tomoe River wins every day. Now, that said, if you're going through these sheets, like, you know, 10, 20 a day, then it's going to be more economical to go with something like this. Like if you take it to work and you're using it all the time, then, you know, maybe go with something like this. Whereas if you're just using it at home for pleasure's sake, and you're not, you know, ripping through crazy amounts of it every single day, then, you know, I say go for the goods. But that, of course, is my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think, if you've used this before. I know most of you have used this, that's for sure. But to be honest, this performs like basically like any other 52 GSM Tomoe River. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you really like the video but haven't yet done so already, do hit the subscribe button. New videos come out every Monday and Friday, and occasional Q&A on Tuesday. And as always, guys, I very much appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.